Evening, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest show here on Up the Cherries in all departments. And of course, this is a live show, so please do look in the comments for the StreamYard link, which means that you can get involved as well. So it is a pleasure to welcome back onto the show Mr. Chris Rawlins over here. How you doing, Chris? All right, mate?
Yeah, very well, guys. Are you all right?
Yeah, all good, all good. And in the corner down, no, not that corner. That, yeah, you get it. We have got Mr. Matt Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thanks for having me on again, I suppose.
Well, you're part of this now. You're part of this. You can't leave us now. And just below, we have got Sam Harrison. How you doing, Sam? All right, mate?
All good, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. So before we get started, and please do join in, guys. Please do ping over comments and we'll get them up on the screen. Just a little bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Bank. What they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. You can probably tell that I had a swig of Lipton iced tea. Actually, it's really nice, that stuff, guys. Have you ever tried it?
Yeah.
See that?
Very good.
Yeah. I don't know how much sugar it is in it. Dental on the Banks might give me a kicking for that, but there you go. But what a difference a week makes. So, of course, just over a week ago, me, Matt, and Sam, along with our driver Brian, went all the way up to Liverpool. You missed out on this special one, Chris.
I know. Nice. Point for the best, to be fair.
Yeah, and full of optimism. And then, of course, it was all shot down. In the space of the week, of course, Scott Parker, and in many ways, some people would agree, some people would disagree with his sacking, left the club. And there was quite a meaty statement that was put out. Of course, we drew against Wolves midweek on Wednesday. And then yesterday, which is why we're all here today, we turned around a 2-0 deficit to win 3-2 against Nottingham Forest. So we're quickly becoming their bogey side, aren't we, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is good, isn't it? But, all things collected together, what would you, going into this game, it was a very different proposition of when we played them last. Of course, they've made 21 signings. And of course, some of those signings played yesterday. Some have already gone out on loan. What do you make of, if we had signed 21 players in the summer window. Is that similar to what Scott Parker said about us not being good enough? Because surely for those players there, like Sam Surridge, who isn't getting game time, even though he had probably his best spell at any club towards the end of last season, surely that's probably a vote of no confidence in the team. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Really, they made too many signings. You know, it's the exact opposite to us. They got too many people they're trying to gel together. You know.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do you make of it, guys?
It's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, you've seen teams do this before plenty of times, and they spent money in the transfer window like Forest have, and it's backfired on them. I think it's a little bit early to tell what the impact 21 players are going to have. Obviously, certain ones have gone out on loan, haven't they? So obviously, they look upon them as players for the future. Ones that are part of the immediate squad now. I think it's a bit early to tell. They've got to gel. You've got to give them time to gel. It's no different whether you sign 5 players or 21 players. You've got to give players time to gel in. And we might see that with the likes of maybe Joe Rothwell when he starts to come in. Players have got to bed in with the team. I don't think Forest fans will be too happy on yesterday's game, but you have got to let those guys gel in.
Yeah, completely agree. And what do you make of it, Sam?
Yeah, exactly what Matt's saying about the gelling. I think it was a very good time to play them. Obviously, because they've just brought them all in and they haven't had time to gel. We can't really tell how Nottingham Forest are going to do once they start gelling together. But for now, they've got to be given time to start playing with each other.
I'll be honest, if I was a Nottingham Forest fan, I would be very, very worried at this point because, of course, they've spent 150 million or something of that sort. I think it was 157 million was the figure that I saw.
I'm
by
sure
all
someone
means,
will correct. I'm sure someone will correct us if we've got that slightly wrong.
but yeah, please do let us know, any Forest fans watching, exactly how much it is. But the point I'm trying to make here is QPR did this in 2012, 2013, I believe it was, and they went back down, and they're still there in the Championship. Leeds did it all those years ago. We know what happened with Leeds and ended up playing in League One and getting even beat in the FA Cup. I don't know if you guys remember this, but getting beat by Histon in the FA Cup 1-0. I'm not even sure where Histon is. Please, anybody in the comments, do correct me on that. But let's get on with this game because, of course, that's what we're here for. So, the team lined up as a 4-4-2. And of course, we did this against Liverpool and we found ourselves 2-0 down. The first goal, personally, I don't think that we could really done much about that. The second one, was it penalty or not?
I think that's probably one. There was a lot of bad VAR decisions yesterday in the Premier League, wasn't there? But personally, I don't see how that could be given. He was about a yard and a half away, wasn't he? And he was diving into a tackle. It was very harsh. Even if it wasn't anything to do with us, I still would be saying the same. And if it was the other way round, if we'd got a penalty off of Forest, I'd still be saying the same.
Yeah, completely agree. Effectively, what Lloyd Kelly had done was he turned his back to actually get his hands out the way. But, of course, the ball struck his hand. Now, I can't see that as being deliberate at all. Now, if he had put his hand out or, done what Steve Cook did, which was kind of...
That was a full-on goalkeeper's save. That was.
Yeah. That was. Do you know what? Any goalkeeper would have been chuffed with that.
Yeah.
I could say, fair enough, to be fair. But, it wasn't deliberate at all. And, I think we was hard done by going in 2-0. But first half, we weren't particularly very good. Would you agree?
Yeah.
No, I mean you could see Forest were up for it. Obviously, being home side, you're going to be. There was just something in that half that, especially when the penalty was given, that made me think that there's still life in this game. I mean, from the penalty perspective, I mean, what else does the guy do with his arms? Do you know what I mean? That's my question to a referee. What do you expect him to do with his arms? I mean, if he's out like that,
Yeah.
His arms are in an unnatural position as a penalty all day. But from that one, I just don't, and especially with the length of time that it took VAR to look at it, and then call the referee over to look at the monitor as well.
Yeah.
It's too long. It's too long. I mean, VAR. 1 minute we're crying out for it, and the next minute we're criticising it. I mean, I think there's still tweaks to be made with VAR. I think over the long term, it's either that or just let the referee see your replay straight away.
Yeah,
straight in the earpiece.
Yeah.
Have a look, and maybe that would make because at the end of the day, it's the referee on the pitch, isn't it? It's got to make a final decision when it comes to things like that. Just let him look at the monitor straight away. Rather than keep replaying it, slowing it down, replaying it, slowing it down. I mean, I don't know. There's got to be some tweaks there, but for me, I think that's an extremely harsh penalty. Not just saying. I mean, if that had been given against Forest, I'd be saying exactly the same thing. That is a harsh decision. But yeah, I mean, whatever was said at half time definitely worked.
Well, one of the things that was actually mentioned as well was that the VAR decision, so wherever it's hosted, I think it's in Soho, isn't it? Where there's somebody in a room monitoring it in the referee's earpiece. I believe they were saying that it was not deliberate, which means it was not a penalty. However, the referee on the day decided to put his own stamp on things. And to be fair, that's not, I see that as quite a good thing that he can put his own, decision making on that. But it just takes so long, doesn't it? And it's just so, laborious because, hopefully things will, be given in our favour like that, where a referee will override a decision. Okay, it's not worked in our favour this time around, but you could see that as a little bit of progress, couldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I respect him for being the first referee to actually stand up to what they've said. Do you know what I mean? Because he obviously believes he was right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I respect him for that. It's just, I feel it was wrong.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Chris. And of course, Gary O'Neill had his say on it as well. If that is a penalty, I feel like we're in a ridiculous place. And to be fair, that I think is well justified. And I'm sure you guys would agree with that as well.
Yeah. To be honest,
yeah,
definitely.
So we went in 2-0 down, but Gary O'Neill made some quite decisive decisions, and one of those was taking off Jordan Zamora. Now, I believe Jordan Zamora might have picked up a knock during that first half, but at the same time, if it was just for tactical reasons, I think that's a very bold statement. And let's be honest, it worked, didn't it?
That's just why managers are in their jobs, isn't it? They've got to make decisions like that. And, it's always a harsh decision to have to make, for tactical decisions. And, unfortunately, it was the right decision because it's paid off. So, no matter what type of game Zamora was having or whether he did take a knock or not, if it's a tactical decision that Gary O'Neill's made, obviously he's made the right one there.
Yep, definitely. Big thanks, Niall, for watching. And you know, by all means, do keep getting involved, and we appreciate all your lovely comments across all of the videos. You know, we don't miss any, at all. So thanks so much, Niall. Of course, the game did change with that goal from Philip Billing, and well, what a goal that was. Personally, if that goal hadn't have gone in, you know, we could have been, well, we might not have even got a point out this game. But it was the venom it was struck with. It was pinpoint perfect. And we was having a chat actually before we come on. That's not the first time he's done that.
No, he's done it for Huddersfield, isn't he? In exactly the same goal. I mean, you can't take nothing away from Phil there. I mean, what a fantastic goal, and you know he's obviously done it before. So, I mean, sometimes you know when you're watching the game, you're screaming for them to have a shot sometimes from range, and I think that's something that we need to do more because obviously the guys can finish. Obviously, Billings demonstrated that yesterday. So sometimes, rather than still keeping the ball and passing it around, sometimes you know I do wish that we just would have a crack at goal a bit more often because you know, like I say, the guys can finish, and you know why not? I mean, he's took that and he's hit it well. I mean, I think you find a better goal. Well, obviously, you know when we got to Slanke's goal, that weren't a bad finish either. But I think you'd probably find it difficult to find a better goal scored yesterday than Phil's.
Yeah, I think if like somebody like Ronaldo or Messi or even Salah had scored that sort of goal, it would be hearing about it all weekend, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
He replayed over and over again.
Yeah, they'd be replaying it over and over again. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it was a fantastic goal. You know, like you said, I don't know if we would have got anything out of that game if we hadn't have done that. Do you know what I mean? That turn to get that was like give us the push we needed. So I mean,
it's definitely what we've needed to do for a while. Like we've been missing having a shot, and look, when we have a shot like that, Philip Billing can do it. We just need to try that a bit more instead of passing, like Matt says, definitely.
And he got himself in such good space. And Lewis Cook, we can't take anything away from him as well, because how he set that goal up as well. It was a beautiful ball played in. He managed, because of course we did lose the ball just slightly beforehand. Lewis Cook's won it back, got round the man, passed it straight over to Philip Billing, and you know, absolutely phenomenal goal. Which, you know, would you say that's got to be contended for goal of the season?
It would be in there.
Yeah,
it'd definitely be in there. Definitely,
it'll probably be our goal of the season, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. For us, it would definitely be in there. For something like on Match of the Day, I can't see why not. Why that wouldn't be put onto their goal of the season.
And then we equalised not long after, really, was it? Through Solanke, and ball's come over and he's controlled it, and that shot, you know, that volley was brilliant. You know, it was as if he wasn't really entitled to make that volley because he had about 3-4 Forest players around him, didn't he?
Well, I think the head back across the box was quality, to be honest. I'm not 100. Was it Mepham that headed it back across the box?
I think it was Lloyd Kelly. I think.
From
what I remember, because the commentary was saying that at first that they thought the strike come off the Forest player.
They did,
and they were saying that as I was watching it live, they said that it had come off Worrell.
Okay.
Thought it should have been credited to Worrell, but then when they showed it from the angle where you were looking at the goal directly, you could see all day it come off Solanke's boot.
It was a great finish, but the head back across the goal was quality.
Yeah, it was, and but I mean, under the pressure Solanke was on, it was great to finish like that. Very good finish.
Yeah, it's quite reminiscent of the goal, quite similar to the finish that Wilson had against Leicester in the first season in the Premier League. I the overhead he did. Wilson's was a bit nearer and it didn't have a deflection, but it was quite a similar sort of finish.
I don't think he was under as much pressure either, to be honest.
No, it wasn't. But Slanky's was probably a better goal. It just reminded me.
Yeah, I can see why you compare that. Yeah. But I mean, before Slanky's goal, before even Billings' goal, to be fair, I mean, you got to give full credit to the side for coming out how they did. I mean, they were 2-0 down. They've been given a harsh penalty, which they would have all felt was harsh in the changing room. They've had the harsh penalty given against them, and they come out all guns blazing.
Yeah, the harsh penalty might have even worked in our favour because they might have been so riled up by the fact that it was a harsh penalty that they might have used that in their team talk to get us going.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, it might have had that effect. You're exactly right. But I mean, for the first, I think it was 15 minutes. I think we had something like 78% possession. So it completely flipped up the other way. And I think that really shocked Forest. Really shocked them.
Yeah.
And of course, we was completely on the ascendancy in that second half. And like you say, Matt, it's a full credit to Gary O'Neill, who surely has to have his name on this job now, because let's be fair, he's been put in an awful position by Scott Parker, where Scott Parker's turned around and said, we're not good enough, we're expecting more beatings, and that is going to knock any player's confidence. So to pick them up, to not just win a game, but win it in that fashion, under Scott Parker, that wouldn't have happened. I think we probably would have crumbled.
I see where you're coming from, but like Gary O'Neill's never had a manager job. If I might be wrong, but I don't think he's ever had a manager position, has he?
No,
no. And most teams, when they lose a manager, they have a bit of a bounce back between managers where they do their results pick up. And then after a few weeks, you tend to find out if it is going to be consistent or whether it's going to be, do you know what I mean, or whether it was just a temporary pickup. I would love Gary O'Neill to get the job, but I think there needs to be a few more good performances, a few more good results. I mean, we definitely need to continue this into Brighton and Newcastle and a bit further on before I think we start talking about Gary O'Neill getting the job permanently.
I mean, Chris is spot on there. I mean, when you're in Gary O'Neill's position, let's be fair. Yes, he has got pressure on him because he will obviously want to turn the results around for the club. Obviously, it's the job he's been given. But it's a different kind of pressure, I think, to him actually having the job full time. Now, we've seen it before where caretaker managers or interim head coaches, whatever you want to call them these days, they take over. They always have, like Chris says, they have the response to the players. They do bounce back. But then again, you've seen interim managers then take the job on full time, and then long term, it doesn't work out as well as it started. I mean, for me, I don't think the club's going to be in any rush to make a permanent decision. I would imagine Gary O'Neill will at least have the next 2 games.
Yeah.
He beats Brighton. Now Brighton are playing very well.
Very well.
We hate to say it, but I mean, they had a fantastic result today. Beating Leicester 5-2. We know they're down in the dumps, but still good result. And then obviously we got the journey then to Newcastle. If he was to get 4 points out the next 2 games, his name's got to be on the hot seat. Got to be on the hot seat. I don't think the club's in a position to rush. They know Gary's doing all right. They know Gary knows the squad. There's no need to make a rush decision in appointing what could be the wrong person as well.
That's totally what I was going to say. Gary O'Neill is definitely at least giving them time to find the right manager if Gary eventually doesn't come out to be the right one. For now, we're playing well. He's got the changing room back. And we just got to carry on.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be full credit to Gary O'Neill because he has whatever he's doing and whatever Tommy and Sean are doing alongside him has obviously breathed some sort of confidence back into the side because, I mean, they're playing better now than some of the later games that we were playing in the Championship last season. So, there were some games in the Championship last season, apart from probably the Swansea one that kind of sticks out, that, if you go a couple of goals down, we didn't look like we were getting back into games at times. Whereas, at the moment, that hopefully long may it continue.
Under Scott Parker as well, at times in that championship season, we did let teams come back at us, didn't we? Like Derby away sticks in my mind as a game against a team that were fighting for everything, and we let them back in. We had more quality. It was quite clear to see that, but they just gave that little bit extra. And okay, Scott Parker got us promoted out of the championship, but on the spin side, could any manager have done that? Let's be fair.
You would have been hard pushed to fail to get us like near enough promoted. You would have struggled to not really with our team.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. Of course, let's go back to the game because, of course, with 10 minutes to go, Solanke, great run down that right-hand side. And was it McKenna who made the error?
Yeah, McKenna.
Yeah, McKenna made the error. And Solanke set up Jaden Anthony for his first Premier League goal. And, a well taken goal. There was me, and I'll be honest, at the start of the season, who thought, has Jaden Anthony got it in him from the start to actually play in this division? Because I thought he might have just needed a little bit more time. But I think he's proved me wrong, and I'm chuffed about that. Because it was a very, very well taken goal, wasn't it? A great piece of play by Solanke. That's why he's so vital for us. That's why we are missing something. And I'm not knocking Kiefer Moore by this. He is a target man, Kiefer Moore. Solanke will do that work, which Moore hasn't really got the pace to do.
Yeah. That's right, and that's now Solanke's back. That's why he's starting and Kiefer's on the bench. And a great option to have from the bench, as proven last season. If we had still been 2-1 down in sort of like the 75th minute, you probably would have seen Kiefer come on and to try and nick a draw. Obviously, that wasn't needed, and we did see him a bit later on in the game. But it's Jordan Anthony. He's a talented player. He is a talented player. He might need a little bit of time to grow into the league, but he's always going to be in and around the squad. Always.
Yeah.
I think where we don't really have a real natural left back, Zamora is naturally in that position, and he's been doing well in that position. Whereas Anthony's he's in a different role altogether. There's obviously different competition in that kind of position he wants to play in. If he comes on like he did the other day and grabs a few more goals, he'll have a good season for his maiden season in the Premier. Definitely. Definitely a talent for the future. Definitely.
I'll tell you what I liked about that goal was something we didn't really do under Scott Parker was we actually played the ball down the channel and Solanke ran the channel, which we didn't really do a great deal under Scott Parker. We didn't use the channels very much. We sort of played through the middle a lot with Parker, didn't we? I know it was a relatively hopeful ball forward, but he did make the run down the channel,
Yeah.
Which was something we always used to do. Under Eddie Howe and stuff, we used to use the channels a lot, didn't we?
All the time.
So to chase someone down the channel and put them under pressure to win the ball back was something,
Yeah, definitely. And there is a quote on the screen from Steve Cooper. I think Cooper's done a very, very good job at Nottingham Forest. Well, I don't think you can take anything away from him. But he's got a challenge on his hands now because there is that expectation that they brought in all these players. They've got the likes of Jesse Lingard, Morgan Gibbs-White as well, who is a very, very talented player who signed from Wolves. Of course, was on loan to Sheffield United last season, where he did well as well. But he has got a challenge on his hands because they will expect to stay up, won't they?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, spending that kind of money. I mean, the board are obviously expecting to be in the Premier League next season and for seasons to come. You don't invest that kind of money and bring in that kind of players of like Lingard's caliber, who I thought was pretty disappointing yesterday. To be fair, but you don't bring in players of his caliber to not plan to be in the league the next season. It's like we said before, it's a big gamble. If it might be a case of when we get to the World Cup and Forest are struggling, that might be when, like I said about Parker originally, that might be a time where Forest will maybe make a decision. But I mean, the guy's done a fantastic job there. I mean, they were in the relegation zone with, was it 1 point or something ridiculous when he took over?
1 point from 7.
From 7 games. So, I mean, he's a class act. If he was available, he's the type of manager, I wouldn't mind at Dean Court.
Forest have done a great job from where they got to from the start of last season to where they are now. They spent loads of money, but they do you know what I mean? They spend all their time worrying about where we are. Do you know what I mean? They try to spend all their time trying to create some kind of rivalry that we don't have.
Mr. Rawlins.
Mr. Rawlins. I tell you what, if there's any Forest fans watching, I bet they're going to be typing up now. What is he going on about?
If there is, jump on and take him on.
Yeah, my Twitter's
yeah, come on, Forest fans. You're welcome on.
I just don't think we need to speak about them all the time.
What, did you say you were on Twitter?
Yeah.
More like Twatter.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
Was it a bit windy yesterday as well?
Well, maybe. They'll be blaming the wind, won't they?
Yeah. The tricky trees don't like the wind, do they?
No, exactly.
I've started it off now.
Robin Hood, riding through the gun.
Okay. Oh dear, you got to finish that song now. Come on.
With merry men. I don't know the rest.
Let's talk about one of Scott Parker's signings, though, who did have a really, really positive effect. And this was a signing which, didn't really excite me when he joined from West Ham. And that's Ryan Fredericks. But in that second half, it was brilliant. Very, very good and outstanding. And I think, firstly, of course, he's probably joined the club because of Scott Parker, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, Parker played with him in his later days at Fulham, didn't he? So obviously, Parker's brought him in because he knows the player, knows what he can do, knows what he's capable of. And in fairness, yesterday when he came on, I thought he was instrumental in that second half. Whether he's doing enough to earn a starting place, obviously that's up to Gary. But if he was to do, make a starting, place, he would have well earned it. I must admit, when he was signed, I did kind of have question marks, and I know quite a few West Ham fans. I had a text from one of them, just Fredericks question mark. I said, and I texted him back and said, "Why? What do you reckon?" And he was like, "Not a bad player, but I wouldn't have signed him." But I mean, that's just views of other people, isn't it? That's the great thing about football. Everyone can have their opinion, and it's no one's ever right, no one's ever wrong. Do you know what I mean? But for me, unless you're Mr. Rawlins, when you're always right. But for me,
my opinion.
But for me,
I'll be one controversial person on the show.
But for me, yeah, no, fair play to Fredericks. And it's good that he's now finally fit and getting some game time.
Yeah, I agree, because when he first joined, I was actually quite happy, and I thought it would be a great signing for us. And then when he was injured, I was quite upset. But now he's coming in and he's proven a point, and I think he will be starting eventually in time.
Yeah, and I think he really shone yesterday. He did change the game for the better, and I think it's a sensible signing by Scott Parker, even though, of course, Scott Parker's no longer here. And personally, in my mind, for the right reasons. One thing I did make on Twitter, a point that I did make, and of course, you say we've got one controversial person on this show, Mr. Rawlins. A lot of fans probably think I'm quite controversial after a certain comment I made the other day.
Don't go breaking my heart.
Oh dear.
Mr. Rawlins turning this into a karaoke version now, isn't he?
Don't give up the day job, Chris, because at the end of the day, mate, you're not going to make it as a singer.
Don't worry about his day job, just unplug him.
Do you know what? I once did a charity thing.
Who's put a pound in Rawlins tonight?
Do you know what we should do? We should do a charity karaoke night. And this is something I did for a cancer charity after my mum passed away quite a few years back. But it made loads and loads and loads of money. So it costs £1 to sing, but it costs £5 to kick that person off, and then the music just goes. I'll tell you what, we would make tons of money for the charity, wouldn't we?
That's great.
Just shutting me up.
I'll be the one with the fivers.
Yeah.
As I'm getting up singing.
I'll be the one that's speaking.
You got more chance than me against Brighton next weekend, jumping on as a substitute in the 84th minute and scoring the fastest hat-trick in Premier League history than you have of me getting up and singing with Mr. Rawlins.
Just seeing you move that fast would be a miracle.
Do you know what? I sometimes do a bit of singing, but I have to be a bit pissed to do it.
Pissed and stone deaf.
Oh dear. But
Sam's the only one who hasn't any banter yet.
He's the accountant. He can't be seen doing jokes on YouTube.
He's thinking up something now. You're thinking up something, Sam. I can tell. But yeah. So yeah, of course, I'm.
That's something to look forward to later on in the year, Craig. Right, Chris Rawlins and the Craig Beasley karaoke night,
and the Matt Harrison 100-meter sprint.
I know. I mean, I can sprint. Whether it's going to be 100 meters, I can't guarantee that. You can maybe bet on how far along the 100 meters I'll get. I reckon about 25 meters. You'll probably be about right. But
yeah. And to anybody who has joined us just now, we was talking about Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth, but we've now started talking absolute bollocks. Please do get involved. The link is in the description.
Come and take the piss out of us.
Yeah, come take the piss out of us. Unless your name starts with a T.
Hello, Terry.
No, not Terry. But of course, of course, this has gone shit now.
Yeah,
of course, we have got a game next Saturday against Brighton, as we've mentioned already. Matt has mentioned before it all went absolutely stark bonkers, raving mad. But how do we set up against Brighton? Because let's be honest, they've done quite well, haven't they? So far this season, that 5-2 win against Leicester actually point about Leicester, of course, Brendan Rodgers made a similar sort of Parker-esque comment,
Yeah.
didn't he, the other day?
Mm.
Which, surprised me. I'm sure that their owners, considering what they've done for that football club, aren't particularly very happy with him.
I think it. I mean, watching parts of the game earlier on today, I think a lot of players, a lot of important players, have left Leicester. Might be Rodgers is doing it, might not be, and you can really see it from the goalkeeping position. Like today, they've got Ward playing as their number one now. I think who's a Welsh international.
Yeah.
And defenders are looking at passing the ball back to him, where they're so used to Kasper Schmeichel can use his feet and distribute a ball well. There was one back pass that one of their defenders made, and Ward's gone to kick it and completely sliced it, and it went out for a corner. So I think they're with the using the likes of Schmeichel. They lost another kiddie to Chelsea this week as well, didn't they?
Fofana,
Yeah. And there was another important player they've lost as well, wasn't there, over the summer? And I think it's just starting to fall apart a little bit now. And to be honest, it's like, I was thinking today, if you're in Rodgers' position, you don't walk away. You wait for your payday, don't you? Because if the board are going to make that decision, you might as well let them make that decision and walk away with a bit of a wodge in your back pocket rather than walking yourself. But yeah, he did have a negative comment, and I did see that on the news this week, and I did think, oh, that sounds familiar, but I don't think that will do him any long-term favours, just like Mr. Parker found out, because they're a very together club, Leicester. I mean, my wife's got family in Leicester, and I've been up to Leicester City quite a few times, and it's a great club, to be fair. And they're always very welcome in the ground, and fans are lovely people as well, from a personal perspective. So, with what the family have put into the club, they're not going to want a manager saying stuff like that. And it's hard to believe that what was it 6 years ago, first season we were in the Premier League.
Yeah.
They won the league, didn't they? And it's amazing how they've kind of not really been on a downfall since then, because obviously they've won the FA Cup. They didn't have a bad Champions League run either, I don't think. And they've been in Europe a few years, but maybe is that all taking its toll on them now as well? With the players leaving and things like that. It's very, very surprising to see Leicester in the position they're in.
Yeah.
But you can see, from watching it today, you can see why Brighton managed to score 5 goals against them. Definitely. It could be a game that we want to hope comes around quicker than some others, because obviously they do look like they're on a downward spiral at the minute, and that's something we could capitalise on.
And of course, I'm trying to think of when that Leicester game is, but of course we've got Brighton next, and Brighton do look very, very good. They've had some brilliant results so far this season. Effectively, they're 2 points off the top, I believe, aren't they?
Yes, it is now, I think. Yeah,
2 points off the top, of course, with Arsenal getting beat by Manchester United 3-1. And to be fair, they did sell quite a few players, didn't they? But they've done very, very well, in their recruitment, and that shows. Would you say that Graham Potter is similar to Eddie in a way that he brings in these players and develops them, and they're not a club that are breaking the bank? They're just a well-run football club, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Graham Potter's done a fab job there, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, Graham, if Eddie keeps on doing as well as he's doing at Newcastle, and Graham Potter keeps on doing as well as he's doing, and there's ever an England manager needed, I think you could easily say those two names would be in the frame.
Definitely.
Because he has. I mean, you're right. He's done wonders at Brighton. And fair play to them. He has developed quite a few of those players, and obviously, they sold who I was very surprised that they sold was Mapai, which one?
Niall
Mopey.
That's him.
Mopey? Yeah.
Yeah,
Neil
Neil
Mopey.
Mopey.
Neil Mopey.
Yeah.
Which at one point he was quite influential in their squad.
Yeah.
And they've sold him on to Everton, I believe, isn't it?
Yes.
So I mean, next Saturday will be a really, really tough game. They're going to come down here. I mean, and have as much respect for us as we probably will have for them, because obviously, they will realise, the last two results we've had has been good results for us. So they're not going to come down here knowing it's going to be a walkover. But Danny Welbeck's had a good start to the season. An experienced player. All the way through them. I mean, Lewis Dunk, another good, like similar to someone like Steve Cook, an experienced campaigner. So I mean, they've got a good blend of experience and quality across the whole squad. So it's going to be a difficult one. It will be interesting to see how Gary sets up against that. Does he go playing 4-4-2? I don't know if you would go playing 4-4-2 against them. You might want to bring in someone, because with the way they've been playing, you might want to just bring in someone to sort of protect the defense a little bit, just kind of hold apart, a bit. But yeah, it will be a very, very interesting one. I don't know what your thoughts are, Mr. Rawlins. You tend to be normally right, so.
I think very much the same as you, to be fair. I think they'll probably try and protect the back four. They've had a really good start. They got that McAllister as well. He's been on pretty
decent. That's the other one. Yeah, he's come on leaps and bounds over the last few seasons, hasn't he?
Yeah, so they look like a good unit, to be fair. I think they're going to be, like, on paper, people think, oh, Brighton, that's something we should be looking to get 3 points. But I think they're going to be a lot tougher than, what the paper puts it, what it looks like on paper. They're probably going to be as hard at the moment as if you look at some of the teams like, just outside the top six, the big six.
I think how you got to look at it is that in the Premier League, no game's an easy game nowadays.
Yeah.
And whoever you play. And yeah, definitely we've got to protect the defence a bit. And as we've shown against Forest, we can shoot for long distance as well. So when we've got a chance, we've just got to take it.
Yep,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And, hopefully, though, we can pick up a result against them. We are at home. And then shortly after that, because we've only got 2 more games in September. And we're on the 4th, which is crazy, really, isn't it?
Then we're playing Leicester after that.
It's Brentford, then Leicester.
Oh, yeah, Brentford, then Leicester, yeah.
Oh, is it not Newcastle?
After Newcastle.
Yeah.
So Brentford, Newcastle, Leicester.
No, so Brighton, Newcastle, Brentford, Leicester.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
That's it.
And that will... Well, October is going to be quite busy, of course, because then we're in the run-up to the World Cup. So effectively, we've got 2 games, of course, this month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in October, and then only 2 games in November, and then 2 in December. So, of course, it's quite vital then, that we do get some points on the board, especially in October, considering how busy that month is.
Yeah.
Is there any teams that, and we'll probably cover this a little bit in cherry picking, which is, of course, coming out on Thursday this week. So please do, everybody who is watching, we did have 15 in the room at one point. Everybody who is watching, please do hit that like, that subscribe and that bell button. And please do get involved, because it does mean the world to us. And we thank you so much for all the support you show us. But is there any teams in particular which you think should be doing better, but aren't? I think Leicester's probably one of those. And any teams that are over exceeded, I'm guessing Brighton are one of those.
Yeah, I even think Fulham have overachieved. To be honest, we all had them down to be like bottom of the table, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah,
they've started really well. And Mitrovic is on fire, isn't he?
He's done exactly what all Fulham fans and plus his manager would have wanted him to do, and that's to continue on from where he left off. And obviously, where people have said he can't do it in the Premier League, he's now proven everybody wrong, and fair play to the player. Just hopefully when we play and we keep him quiet.
Yeah, no, I actually think maybe underachieve. I know it sounds stupid because they demolished us, but I actually think Liverpool have sort of underachieved because they beat us, but they scraped it against Newcastle. I don't know how they got that result. The referee played more injury time than he was meant to. Do you know what I mean? They only drew against Everton.
No. Pope was down on the deck for about 2 minutes. He stopped the watch.
Yeah, anyway, regardless of that result, apart from us and Newcastle, they haven't won another game, have they?
No.
They've drawn 3 and lost 1. Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? Like everybody I'm speaking to keeps on going Bournemouth are redicated. If you think about it, we've only lost to the three of the best teams in the league. All the other teams we played, we've got something.
Yeah. No, this is it. I mean, with
the next month's going to be interesting.
The next month coming up is going to be interesting. I mean, we never expected points, and I mean, even Villa, we thought was going to be a tough game, and that's for me as a side that's underachieving. When you think of the signings they've made, I mean, they've signed some good, decent players, and they've got decent players there already.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a side for me that I think is underachieving.
I think the result yesterday might give them a bit of a kick up the arse. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously he got a good result yesterday. But I mean, it's now where he goes after here now, isn't it? I mean, he's got to keep that up. But really, sorry, Sam, you go.
I was just going to say, for me, I think underachievers are West Ham.
West Ham.
Yeah, of course, West Ham.
Yeah. Forgot about them. Yeah, definitely. Most definitely, they have.
Yeah, definitely for me. And I think Chelsea have underachieved a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's a fair point. They were lucky yesterday to get that win. That second goal was definitely a goal.
Yeah, I think an overachiever is probably Brentford. At the end of the day, they beat Man United 4-0. They played them at the right time.
And I think the complete basket case at the moment is Everton, because at times they've looked poor. Of course, they're the side that Villa actually beat. But if watching it, to be fair, they scored a disallowed goal yesterday against Liverpool, and I just don't understand them. I don't understand what is going on, because they don't particularly look that strong on paper. They look a bit of a mishmash, but then they seem to get these results, don't they?
I genuinely think they're in more trouble than we are, Everton. I genuinely do.
I mean, Everton, it was a Merseyside derby yesterday. So, I mean, everyone knows what the derby's about. The Merseyside derby, if you play for either of those clubs, you know what that's about. So, whoever's in your squads at that time, you are up for the derby. That's the one. Yeah. That's the 2 games a season that you are definitely up for. And fair play to him yesterday. He picked a point up. To be fair, I didn't think Liverpool looked overly good yesterday.
No.
Liverpool,
we just played him at the wrong time. We just got the backlash, and somebody else will get the backlash in a few weeks again.
Yeah. I can see that as well, where you're coming from. But also, if you're talking from our game last weekend that no one ever wants to talk about again, if you're talking from that perspective, that is, again, that was a game of men against boys. Unfortunately, we didn't look up for it. Liverpool walked through our defence, and then you see how we come out against Wolves, and you see yesterday, and it's a totally different side. So maybe if we could go back in time, Gary O'Neill was on the touchline that day, might have been a different kettle of fish. but obviously we'll never know that now. But we need to stop talking about that that terrible weekend, and our season started against Wolves now, and we'll go from there, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so. My last bit on it is that, Liverpool on their playing like they did, would have beaten anybody on that day. And why they've not replicated that since is beyond me. But I think we probably still would have got beat if Gary O'Neill was on the touchline, because Liverpool were that good that game. It's probably, and I'm sure that Liverpool fans will say, that was their best performance of the season. But I think we would have been a lot more competitive than we were, because we just didn't press them. There was absolutely nothing. That's, I think, the comments afterwards, not that defeat so much, is what cost Scott Parker his job, but going over old stuff. To be honest, that was a bit of an elaborate explanation, wasn't it? Chris just looks. Yeah, he's going on again. He's going on.
I would do it bluntly, but then I'd get told off.
No, do it bluntly. Tell me, shut the fuck up, Craig. That's all fine on this channel.
No cry babies here.
No, exactly. He's putting his foot in it again.
Can we change his name from Mr. Rawlins to Mr. Ruthless?
What do you want, Mr. something else?
Mr. Ruthless.
Mr. what?
Ruthless.
Mr. Ruthless. Yeah. I thought you meant Mr. something beginning with T.
No, I say that.
We was talking about this as well, and we're probably confusing everybody watching. We have all got the same shirt on, haven't we?
Well, apart from Sam, who's dressed as an accountant.
Sam's just being the odd one out. We're brothers.
He's probably drinking a scotch.
Sam's come dressed as Pep Guardiola.
That's it, mate.
We all sort of
while wanking at pictures of Haaland.
What did he say?
Did you hear it?
Go on, repeat.
I won't repeat that.
I said while wanking over pictures of Haaland.
Oh, right.
Oh, dear,
not
dear.
This show, Chris, is before the watershed.
Yeah.
Have
we read the clock yet?
Oh, it's 2 minutes. 2 minutes 2.
2 minutes 2. There we go.
I'll take the complaints from Ofcom or whoever they get complaints.
Ofcom. I'm sure that Ofcom really do give a shit about this.
I always wanted to be the new Piers Morgan, so
There he is.
I wonder if Gary O'Neill's got his car park sign yet.
Well, I wonder if anybody else is kneeling down in front of it. Nice glasses, mate.
I'm going on holiday.
Yeah.
Can I come?
Huh?
Can I come?
Oh, you're the reason I'm going on
I
it.
know.
Yeah. Hey.
But we have got that international break coming up, haven't we? So we're all going to bugger off on holiday.
Which is always funny for Bournemouth, international breaks, isn't it?
Yes.
You seem to start getting a bit of momentum up, and then we have an international break, and then we usually don't get a result after the international break, do we? We sometimes struggle a little bit, but hopefully we can get some points on the board before then, and come back after and pick up where we left off from.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, everybody, please do hit that like, that subscribe, that bell button, to find out about all new shows on this channel. We will be doing more of these free-for-alls. Of course, nobody's been able to come on tonight. Probably Mr. Rawlins has put them off. But no, I'm only joking, mate.
Sam's just pointing random ways.
But yeah, please do.
He's in the technical area, isn't he?
Yeah. That way.
But yeah, please do hit the like and the subscribe buttons, and do join us on the next video, which will be coming up very, very soon. But until the next one, thank you for joining us, and up the cherries.